In Genesis, the 12th chapter, in the 10th verse, we have the account of Abraham and Sarah, the power couple, leaving the place where God told them to be, and they head to Egypt for food because there was a famine in their land. So before they get there, Abraham tells Sarah, "Tell them that you're my sister because I think they'll kill me for you." Hmm. She agrees. And when they get there, sure enough, the Egyptians see how gorgeous, how beautiful, how spectacular Sarah is. And they bring her into Pharaoh. And Pharaoh starts the process of making her his wife. And the common practice was to pay for her hand in marriage, to give gifts. And that's what Pharaoh is doing when he gives all these things to Abraham. It says Abraham was getting cattle, he was getting all these different things. But a funny thing happens. A plague breaks out. And Pharaoh immediately knows there's something that's wrong. And Abraham has to tell him, she's not really my sister. She's actually my wife. Now let's get this. Pharaoh doesn't know, and he hadn't done anything wrong. He was doing what was customary. He was doing what was common. Have you ever wondered why God was protecting Sarah? Now remember, later on, you're going to find out Abraham has a kid with somebody else. He wasn't stopped from having kids. But Sarah was kept from being involved with anybody else. Have you ever wondered why Sarah was kept from mingling with other people when Abraham could do what he wanted? It seems like a double standard, doesn't it? One of the things you'll understand is that it was something common to give gifts for a wife. But Sarah wasn't something that was common. For many of us, we do things just like everybody else. When God has called us to do great things, we do the common thing. See, Sarah was set apart from all the other women because what Pharaoh was used to was common women. Oh, and if in your life you thought this man was going to marry you, and then all of a sudden he just ups and leaves, it was for your best. And I know you want to cling on to that, but hear me out. You're not common. When God calls you, he sets you apart. Some of us are still pining over people that left. And the thing is, God might have run them out of town for your sake. Why is it that Sarah is set apart? Because the lineage of the Messiah is going to come through her. Now, see, God will set you apart and will protect you, even when your husband won't. God will keep you and protect you, even when your family won't. She was set apart for a specific purpose. If you don't understand why some friends leave, while some people are just there, seem like they're seasonal workers, that they just come into your life just for that season, it's because God has set you apart. You're not somebody common. And the newest phrase now is your body count. In the 90s, a body count was talking about how many people you killed. That's on video games. But now it's talking about how many people you slept with. And people are saying it doesn't matter how many people you slept with. Oh, yes, it does. See, the world just does this common thing. They say this is what people do. This is what animals do. This is common. You shouldn't be with one man or one woman. They do the common thing. But you've been set apart. See, the calling on your life is bigger and better than you could ever imagine. Now let's get back to Abraham and Sarah. Abraham was concerned about himself. He assumed that the promise of God was just dealing with him. And if you think I'm making this up, he was so worried that they would kill him instead of killing her that he was willing to let them do whatever to his wife. Oh, he didn't just do it once, he did it twice. But God protected the virtue of Sarah. If you don't know what Sarah's name means, it means princess. She's not like all the common people. There was an air of royalty to her. She was set apart, not torn apart. What God is trying to do through you is so important to him that he's willing to send a plague to run people away. You're trying to find out what you and this person have in common. And God is saying, nope, that's not who I want you to be with. I've got somebody specifically for you. He's like, oh, he looks good. He's the height I want. He's all this. Or she's got the right body. She's thick as oatmeal. That's what I like. Yeah, that's what I like. And you're sitting there wondering why God sends them away. Because you've been set apart. Really, you've been set apart. You're holy. You're not something common. On TV shows, they always say this is a common street thug. This is a common criminal. This is what everybody knows him to be. This is what they do. You're not common. You've been called by God. You've been set apart. You're better than fine china. Your name is written on the Savior's hand. If God has to run somebody out of your life, that's what he's got to do. To perform the task that he has called you to do. You're not common. You've been called to be holy.